Hey, I hope everyone's doing good. I just wanted to go through a few things that I do when I shorten an AR-15 barrel and then make a muzzle device and then pin and weld it and then do a few little tricks to accurize your rifles if they're AR-15s. Anyhow, there's a lot of different ways you can skin a cat on this one. A lot of different ways people do this kind of stuff. I'm just going to show you the way I do and see, you can do it, you can modify it however you really want to go about it. But this is what I ended up with. Anyhow, so the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to measure your total barrel length right off the hop. I know you're going to be like, well, I know it's a 16-inch barrel. Well, just measure it. Trust me, just measure the whole thing. And when you measure it, you're going to want to make sure that your bolt is all the way forward. Then you're going to take, let's say, the easiest thing everyone has, generally speaking, is a cleaning rod. So run your cleaning rod all the way down. And you're going to take your existing either flash hider, muzzle brake, A2, whatever you have on there, take that off. And you're going to make a little mark. Just take your knife out and just notch that cleaning rod you have or whatever. But you want it to be generally sturdy and straight. You know, coat hanger, I generally wouldn't trust. Make your mark, measure it 3 times. Make sure you know exactly what you want to take off. And now most of you guys are probably going to have some sort of muzzle device that you've already purchased that you want to pin and weld after you shorten your barrel. And I know some of you guys don't even want to even try or attempt this stuff. That's fine. Really, the way I learned how to do this is I'm a self-taught guy. I just started doing it, and making mistakes isn't bad. Failure isn't bad. You learn from your mistakes. And I can even show you a few here. Hold on. So, if you remember the Mike J brake, the first iteration I ever tried, this happened. The bit grabbed this brake, and you can see how there's almost two separate cuts here, and it took it right out of that collet. It was a bit aggressive of a cut, but see, that's a mistake, and I keep that sitting right up there on the lathe. I look at it, every time I'm on the machine, and I remember which direction your cutter's cutting. Here's another one. This one's all fine and well and good, but this is, I think, number 2 or 3, I can't remember. But I decided to recut these threads, and I used a really, really cheap Chinese tap. And when I was going in, let's see if we can zero in on it. It's kind of hard when it's shiny. Let's see if it zeroes in on this. Come on. You can see that the threads are shiny on the bottom. Those threads are good threads. There's peaks and valleys there, but the first about 8 are all flat across. It just took all the threads with it. And stainless is kind of goofy to work with in the first place. But anyhow, so like I said, if you make a mistake, it's okay, you're going to learn. But if you measure a couple times and think through everything really slowly and don't just fly by the seat of your pants, you're generally going to do really good. And this is no exception. Anyhow, so measure your barrel. Doesn't matter what you think it is or what it says it is. Just measure your barrel. Get a good measurement. After that, you're going to cut it down, and you're going to remember you're going to want to leave space for whatever thread you want to pick. Now, I just stuck with normal 1/2 by 28. But back to the first step. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. So the gas block area diameter on this barrel is 0.750, and that's pretty common. But nowadays you have 0.65. You have all sorts of different ones with pencil barrels or thicker barrels or thinner barrels. But generally speaking, conventionally, it's going to be a 0.750, but measure it. Because this is kind of interesting. If you are going to make your own muzzle device, I made this one 0.740, 0.730. So if I ever want to take my gas block off, change anything out on my rifle, take the barrel off, this and everything else can just slip right over this muzzle. I guess this would be a muzzle brake at this point. But anyhow, so that's something you want to take into consideration. Anything that you might want to do in the future that you or think you don't want to do, but leave yourself an option, leave yourself a way out. So you cut your diameter for your muzzle brake that you're going to make. After you've shortened your barrel, and then you thread your barrel, and I threaded this one 1/2 by 28. And since it was already in the lathe, I put an 11-degree target crown on it. So there's an 11-degree taper on this crown all the way out to the outside diameter of it. And that's supposed to improve accuracy too. I don't have all the all the science stuff in front of me to show you, but that's what everyone kind of agreed on. Anyhow, so once you put the crown on the muzzle and you've threaded it, measure it again, measure it a second time. If you're making your muzzle, or if you're throwing a different muzzle device on, measure it a second time. Make sure that whatever you put on there is over 16 inches. So for instance, this whole system here is 16 and 2/16 of an inch long. So next, after you cut your diameter, then you're going to want to cut the contour down to the barrel so it lines up. So you can have a 45-degree angle here, you can have a round one like I've got right here. Maybe it's kind of hard for you to see. Yeah, it's not wanting to focus. But anyhow, contoured it so it would meet up with the barrel lines, and I did a kind of a round taper there. You can do, you know, a big, you know, 45 or whatever you want to do, or, you know, you can make it whatever, however you want to make it. It's going to be your rifle anyhow, but that's what I did. And then the next thing I did is I went over to the mill, got a 2-inch saw cutter, and I wanted kind of a style of, I didn't know exactly what I wanted. I was kind of just going with the flow, as it were. And I decided I wanted something kind of like an M14 brake or like a Tabuk brake. So I got 3 slots here for the expanding gases to exit out the top to kind of control muzzle rise. Not that there's a lot with 5.56 223. And then took this back over to the lathe and I parted it from the stock. And the reason I did that after is because I wanted more material to hold on to in that collet while it was cutting on these. The more area you have holding on to something, the better clamping force you have, because there's more area of force. I thought to myself, okay, I guess I'm going to go for more of a brake instead of more of a flash hider. I know this is going to break up some of the flash here, having these 3 ports here in this style. But I was thinking, okay, so 5.56, that's 0.224 of an inch. So I went with a 15/64 drill bit, which is 0.234 of an inch. So a little bit bigger diameter here, so the bullet shouldn't have any problems. And let's say, for argument's sake, if there was something wrong, if I wasn't paying attention, and I got out of alignment at some point, and every time you go back to the lathe, obviously recenter everything on a dial indicator and use a 4-jaw chuck if you can, or at least a universal 3-jaw that you can center, and you can get back to 0 when you're rotating this. So cut that with a 15/64, so that's 0.234, and then hit it with a 45-degree on both of these angles, so it's not sharp or anything like that. Bluing it, that can be kind of tricky. Everyone's got different ways of bluing. Because I put such a high shine on this part, the bluing, generally they want you to, between each bluing, they want you to clean the part, no grease, no oils, no waxes, obviously. Then the bluing acids, you apply them, let them sit for a few seconds, no more than a minute usually. And then you run it under water, cold water, and then you would hit it with the steel wool. Well, I'd never hit this with the steel wool because I needed it black enough to try to match this barrel. And you can see it's just a hair lighter than the nitrided barrel, but it is a completely different process. And I think I got close enough for being a garage goober, as it were. So bluing, that can get kind of touch and go. Try it on a few pieces, a few cut ends that you have that are the same type of steel, and just try different things. And then after you're done bluing, obviously hit it with some high quality oil and just wrap it up in a plastic bag, let it sit 24 hours, and you're good to go. And here's what the brake looks like all finished. Not too bad. Also, when you're cutting these threads, you're going to want to cut a recess in here, because generally when you're threading on these, unless you cut yourself a nice recess in the barrel, if you do it with, let's say, a die, if you're just doing this at home, you don't have a lathe, that's fine. And if you're just cutting this with a die, there's going to be a spot in here where you're not going to be able to cut those threads all the way up. So if you cut back into your threads that you make on your muzzle device, or any muzzle device that you happen to have, then you don't have to worry about it not screwing all the way on, because there's no thread for the muzzle device to go any further on the barrel. So that brings us to making the pin for the muzzle device, and apparently I'm a cheap ass because I didn't want to buy a pin, I just wanted to make one. So the pin I made is like all other pins that I've ever used or come across. It was 0.095 in diameter by a 1/4 inch long, 0.250. Now if you're not feeling that, up to it, or you don't have a lathe, you can take a drill bit set and get some cheap Chinese drill bits that are TIN coated. You can find that size, which would be a 7/64, or something, the next size down from 7/64, pardon me. 7/64 drill bit is what I use to punch the hole to drop that bit into. But you can take your Dremel tool and cut off the little bit of that drill bit and use that as your pin if you want. Just another little tip or trick or whatever. Needle roller bearings can work too, but I'd rather just stick to the same or similar type of steel that this is. You're going to want to make sure that the pin is proud of the hole, because you're going to be welding it. Now, you can use high temp solder from what I've heard. I don't know how much stock I put into that. I'd rather just weld it. They say pin and weld, you pin and weld. I've heard that you can use high temp solder, but it seems like you run the risk of damaging the temper of your barrel steel by having it that hot for that long and then melting in that rod of solder. TIGging is kind of nice because you can hit it with high heat in that little area, and the whole time I TIGged it, I was sitting there holding it, and it never got even warm to the touch. Now around this little area it got super hot, but you can just run some pneumatic air down in here or some water or whatever and just cool the barrel if you're worried about that. But the TIG weld is probably the fastest way to do that. So when you're drilling this hole, like I said, I use a 7/64, which is 0.1094 of an inch. You're gonna want to use a stop, whether it's on your mill, you set your stop, or whether it's on your drill press. Look at the little thing to the right where the handle is on your drill press. You'll see numbers and a little lock. Dial that back, because you don't want to go all the way through your barrel, and you will. Especially with nitrided barrels, this top surface is really, really hard, so you're going to be sitting there giving it the ghost, trying to drill through that top layer, and the second you hit that soft steel, that 4150, 4140, it's just going to cut right through it, and you're going to know you made a mistake before you could even stop. So always set a stop. And if you're doing this with a hand drill, for the guys that don't have all the fancy tools and nonsense, you can make a stop. Like I understand this is a huge drill bit, but you can make a stop and just clamp it onto your bit. And once that's clamped on there, you're not going any further in. So just make a stop, trust me. So after that, I decided to make a jig for lapping the front of the upper receiver. Now these upper receivers are forged, so they forge a bunch of them, and then they machine out the parts they need to, and then they thread that end. Well, when they thread that end of that upper receiver, it is aluminum, and it sometimes can get a little off, not being perpendicular to the bore, that front part of the receiver. So what you want is a perfectly perpendicular line here from this bore area. So the inside diameter of the upper receiver is, generally speaking, 1 inch. Now there can be some variances in there because there's always some tolerances in machining, but 1 inch should be generally what you're looking for. The jig I made, I believe I made under 3 thousandths, so 3 thousandths less. In the long part of the jig, you're going to want to use oil, and on the front part of the jig that makes contact with the front surface that mates up with the M4 extension on your barrel, you're going to want to use 220 grit lapping compound. You'll notice that when I started lapping on the front of the receiver, you'll notice at the 1 to 2 o'clock area, that's the first place of contact. That'll show you right there, and that's just a couple seconds. Just start your drill or whatever you're using it in. I just used a hand drill, honestly, because the jig was made to the spec. And you can buy these jigs through a whole bunch of different places. You know, Brownells and a whole bunch of different places. Midway, I'm sure, has them. All sorts of different places. But anyhow, you'll notice that after a couple seconds, and take it off and then look and kind of look at that area around where those threads are, and you'll see where it's getting shiny, where that aluminum is proud. And generally speaking, that proud area is going to be where that first thread comes in, because that's the area that kind of manipulates the aluminum on the upper receiver. But anyhow, so clean that up, wait until your upper receiver is shiny all the way around, and then you're done, you're ready to go. After that, you can do this or not, it kind of depends, but using Loctite 620. Loctite 620 is a thicker bearing retainer style of Loctite, really strong. And you put that around your, let's say if this was an M4 extension, you put it around your M4 extension, keep it away from the chamber. You can stuff a rag or, you know, a piece of a cut up sock or shirt in one end, or a towel if you're worried about it. Don't get it everywhere, but just kind of get a nice little area around. Put your barrel in, torque it to spec, and then let it hang muzzle down, so you're not dripping Loctite into your chamber area. Now, a tip or trick, if you will, that M4 extension, make sure everything's clean before you Loctite it, obviously, or at least I think that's obvious. A little tip or trick you can try is your M4 extension, before you put any of that stuff on there, do a really thin coat of carnauba wax, like wax for your car, or shoe polish, or something like that. If you ever need to take this apart, that little bit of wax, you know, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. It'll make it so you're able to it'll be easier for you to be able to get that off of there. So anyhow, so yeah, that's how I did this one, and hope you guys enjoyed it. And yeah, and then obviously afterwards, do a third measuring once you got your muzzle device on. Make sure you're over 16 inches, and if you're not, it's okay. You know, chop that off. You know, do it again. It's okay. That's how all of us learn, especially when we're, you know, go-getters and do-it-yourselfers. So yeah, that's how I did it. And yeah, if you learned anything, or if you got a better way of doing it, let me know down in the comments section. And remember, loose is fast, brakes only slow down, and shotguns have a wider spread. Be safe and have fun on the range. We'll see you guys next time.